Understand today how to create a composite primary key with Hibernate. What I mean here that I'll tell you how to create a more than one column as a primary key. I mean composite key. So as we know, in a one table we are having one primary key, right? And if we are filling that more than one attributes, I mean more than one column I want as a primary key, so we make a composite key, right? So let us try to make a composite key with Hibernate. So you can see here, this is my database where I have an inventory database created, and it is having one table item details. I just create one person table, or let the Hibernate create the table itself. Okay, with appropriate field and all. So for that sake, we'll just create a new project here, new Java project. I'll give a name here. I'll say composite key with Hibernate. Okay. Now say next here and then select finish. Now this is my project. That is the basic project, Java project only. Now select my clips and go to the Hibernate capabilities. Check the 3.1 and then say next here. This is the Hibernate configuration file. Click next. Now select the driver that we have already created drivers earlier example we have used in that. So Isaac MySQL driver, suppose I created one profile here which is having this URL inventory database, and this is my driver and username password and the dialect which we have to use MySQL, because I am using MySQL server here. So MySQL dialect, then say next, and what the package you have. If you don't have a package, just say here com.example and finish. So package has been created if you find here, and then say here finish. Okay, so you can clearly see here the profiles and URL and drivers and username password is displaying here, right? If you want to see the source here, you can look the source code for your configuration file with all the connections and URL. You go to here and just say add here, and we'll set HBM2 DLL auto equal to create. So it will create a table here. Once we'll create, and next time I'll just change with update. Again, you want to see the code here, like so just say show SQL and make it here true. So the query which has been created by the Hibernate, you can see clearly here. Okay, mapping and all we'll do later. So just save it and close this Hibernate here. Now we'll go to here and we'll create one class. Say new class here. We'll select class and give a name here. I just give a say a PK field. Okay, and interface, you want to add some interface, you can add it here itself, else we'll write manually there. So one class it has been added here. Now we'll add more class and I'll say new class. I can say here item class. Okay, or let us make it another example here, customer. Okay, customer, finish it. So okay, Now if I go to the pk field class, I'll mention some of the field that I have a I mean I'll just make a string here, string customer name or first name I can say. What do you think? Let us say your customer first name, and then again I'll say string. I'll take email. Okay, and I'll make this to field as a private here. I'll make this to field as a private here. So we have created two properties here, and I want this first name and email both should be unique. So I'll make a composite here, right? And we'll go for a getter setter method. I just say here add source. So I'll select source and then I'll go to here and say generate setter and getter. Okay, I'll just check this code here and say okay. So for this field first name and email, so setter method and getter method has been created now. I want to add some more method, like let us say equal and uh, equals method or hash code. So I'll just say right click source and I'll just click here hash code, generate hash code and equals method. Okay, so this two field will contain in that. Okay, so if you can see this code has been rated here, uh, hash code. So it is returning the first name dot hash code and email dot hash code. It is here first name dot hash code. Just a moment. And email dot hash code, right? And both has been concatenated to the result here. So if you're thinking that it is too complex, let us make it here a string. Sorry, I have to write here integer. I just delete it here. Okay, and I say return email dot hash code. I just say plus first name dot hash code. Done. uh, we can check once again. Yes, so I'm just obtaining the hash code of email and first name and just returning the hash code as a single hash code for both field first name and email here. Okay, so we have overridden this hash code method. Next we have to just let us say equals method. So I'll do one thing here. We just check the instance of okay, it has done lot of coding and all, so we'll not go for that. I just write my own code here. If not obj, right, the object which we have, instance of what, pk field, pk field, then return false. Return false, else if it is equal, then I can say here pk field pk equal to obj, right? We'll typecast to the pk field now. Pk field, correct? Yes. And then we will return here. First we are checking the object type. Return first name dot equals first name here, right? Dot equals with pk dot first name, right? So I'm checking the existing first name and the another which is coming from the obj, I mean object. So pk dot first name, and similarly we'll do with the email also, that email dot equals with pk dot equal pk dot email, right? Yeah, done. So if I call the equals method, it will return me true. Okay, so we have to just put it in this bracket now, because we are whole checking whether it is not equal or not. That's where the error was coming. So we have just written a code in a pk field. What I'm trying to say here, that this to field is a primary key here. Okay, now I'll go to the customer. In the customer table, what we'll write here, I'll just say private pk field, and I'll give a pk field. Okay, so what pk field means? First name and email, correct? Now next I have to see here private say string customer last name, and then I will tell here private integer. I'll say here age of the customer. Okay, now I'll generate the setter getter. Just right click and say here source and generate getter and setter. Check all these three and just say okay. So I'm ready with getter and setter of the customer class here, right? This is my customer. I'll just make it serializable here. So implements serializable. Okay, import the package serializable, correct? And this we are using in the customer. So this is my three fields we are having, but pk field is another having two field, right? So setter getter is here for all, pk field and then last name and age. Set is get is, yeah, correct. So this is done now. So we have created a pk field class and person class, right? Next we have to create a htm file. So we'll go to here and I need to just copy some html file. Let us say I have here one htm file I created for item. If you remember first time, I just copy this file only, copy and paste it here. So here I have created item.htm.xml. If you want to refactor, just rename it, refactor, rename. I'll give a customer, okay, cus.hvm file. So I change the name now. Okay, let us do mapping in this file. So come to the source here. Now, so what I have to do here, like first we have to do Hibernate mapping and package. So package is a com.example I'm using here. Next we'll take a customer class, right? And there's a one, yeah. So class name, what is that? It is a customer. What table you want? let us say cust. I want cust details table. Okay, so table name will be the cust details. So I hope you are understanding this whole stuff now. But this class is having not a one auto increment field, it is having a primary key composite field, right? So in this case you have a one attribute, and that is a composite ID. So we are writing here composite ID name. So what are the name? So name, we have created a pk field, if you remember, right? Now what column you want? So column will not specify here, we just specify the class for which this, I mean, for pk field, what is the class I have? I have a pk field itself, right? This is my class name. And now here instead of generator, I just try to close this first, composite id. Okay, but it will not have a generator. I can put here key property. So key hyphen property. Okay, property. So what is the property name? First name. Similarly I have to do, so property name equal to, I have a first name, right? Similarly we can add more property, that second property I mean. I'll just close it here, copy and paste it, and then I'll say here I have an email. So here I'm clearly telling that I have a two field which is my primary key, right? I mean, just I'm making one composite key here. So this is the composite ID. And then after I have another property, right? So after composite key has been done, so another property I have a last name, right? What the column name you want? I just say here last name as a column name. Next is the customer age, right? I just say here column will be the same age, customer age. Class has been closed, mapping has been closed. So I'm done with mapping for customer and pk field, right? So both has been mapped to this HBM file. Now what is the next? I'll just close it, I'll just close it here. We'll go to the configuration file and I'll tell the mapping file where it is. So just go to here and say add, select your source com HBM, sorry, it was a customer HBM file. So it has been done. Now you can see the source here, save it. You can see the mapping source here, customer HBM file. So the whole thing has been done now. Now we'll create one client here. I'll just make another class, new. What is that? A class. I'll just say here cust client. Okay, customer client. It should have a public static void main, finish it. Now inside that I have to do the whole coding and all, right? That I have already explained to you, the whole stuff, how you can get configuration and how you can do that, right? So what we'll do, we can take the usage of Hibernate utilities. That last time, if you remember, we have done Hibernate configuration through Java file, this file. I just copy and paste it here. So I can do the declarative uh, programming here. I can just obtain the configuration, but let us have a programmatic here. So Hibernate util is having a session as a property, and this is a static block which is having the whole configuration of our application. Now this was the student, sorry, it was the cust.hvm file, right? So just I have changed now. So I'll go to the cust client, and here I'll just tell directly, first we'll create a object of pk field. Pk field, I just say here pk equal to new pk field, right? And after that I'll create object of person also. Sorry, it was a customer, right? Yeah, customer cust or cc or c1 equal to new customer. Now I'll call the getter, I mean first I'll need to set a method, right? So pk dot set first name. What is the first name? It is James. Okay. Again pk dot set email. I'll say here james at gmail.com, right? And what else? Yeah. So this was having two field only. Now I can say c1 dot set pk field, right? What is that? Pk. So what it mean? Name and email has come here, and then I will say c1 dot set last name. I'll just say here bond. Sorry. And then c1 dot set age. Let us say 45 now. Okay. So we have the value of this Pojo object, customer object. Now we have to send to the database through the Hibernate. After obtaining the session, I'll just say here session, import it from org Hibernate, ses equal to, so we have Hibernate utilities, Hibernate util dot session, right? So I got the session now, and I just start a transaction. So says dot begin transaction, right? And then says dot what, save. What save? c1, right? Because c1 is object which we have, that is a customer object. And finally I will say here session dot get transaction, right, dot commit. Done. Create table, create table cust details, open, first name, what is that, varchar 20, then email varchar 30, and then it was the last name. Last name was again say varchar 20 only, and I'll say age here int, right? But after that I have to make a primary key, so just say here primary key. What are the column? First name and email. Good. And then I'll say bracket close. I'll say here engine equal to INNODB. Okay. So table has been created. You can see this sort tables now. So I have a cust details, and if you say here select star from customer details, no records, right? So let us try to execute now. Run as Java application. So I think it has been done now. We'll check here and I'll see the record. So we are finding that record has been inserted, right? So James, and this first name and email ID is my composite key here. Our last name is a bond and is 45. Okay. If I try to insert the same record again, will not allow to do that. Just shall we try run as Java application. So if you find here, it is telling that duplicate entry james at gmail.com for primary key. But once if you are changing here that the name, that this name is something else, let us say it is a Tom, and you are saying here the Zeri at gmail.com, and Tom Raj is last name, age is say 50. Okay, we'll save it and then run it again here. Just right click and then say run as Java application. It has been inserted. We'll go and check. So second record has come. So I hope you understood how to work with a composite key through Hibernate.